Example of this. Yes, you got it. Okay, so just a quick reminder of what we said yesterday. There's the two directions of light, and there's the or ha-makif ha-rachok and ha-karov. There's the close makif and the far makif. No matter how much you're going to try to reveal of the far makif, the distant makif, the more you try and show it, the darker it's going to be, because it's not relevant for any of it to ever come into your mind. And therefore, if it will express itself, it's going to express itself in such a way that it's not understandable. Just like it is in principle not an Indian of light, it's an Indian of beyond light. So therefore, when it shows itself, it doesn't show itself as light, but it shows itself as something which is beyond, or in this case, below light, and it looks like something negative, hidden. So he says, "Adugum mizeh yuvan lamayla mebeisa inyanim." Example of this can be understood above from the two inyanim. Masha orein sof hu lamayla mayla adin kates v'lamata mata adin tachlis. This that the light goes infinitely high and infinitely low. Demash lamata mata adin tachlis hu aor bechinas shaychus ela olmos. This is the light which has relevancy to the world. Bechlaluso hu bechinas gilibatz muso. And in general, this is a light which is on, so to speak, shining in Hashem's own essence. Right? The light that's essentially coming down. There's Giloy there. It's brought in the Midrash Ad Shelo Nivra Olamayahu Ushmo Bilvad. It says that before Hashem created the world, it was Him and His name alone. Hu Ushmo. Him and His name. Hu Kail Etzema Or. So what are all these things? Before Hashem created the world, there was Him, there was something called Hu, and there's something called Shemo. What's Hu? Hu represents the essence of the light. In other words, not the revelation of the light, but the essence of the light. Which you could say that's the light that's going infinitely high. But Omer al Zeh, Hu, Bechinas Nister Behelam. Because the word Hu, which in linguistic language, third person, He, represents someone over there, right? And you call that, in other words, not someone in front of you. So not someone that's revealed to you. If you're talking about Him, it means He's not present. And that means concealed. And in Hebrew, the actual word for third person is Lashon Nister. You say the hidden person, right? Like in English, you say the third person. In Hebrew, you say the hidden person. So when it says Hashem is called a Hu, it's referring to a hidden aspect of Himself. The Etzema Or Hu Nelam V'Nistar. And why is that? Because when you call Hashem Hu, you're referring to the essence of the light, which is, as we said before, unseeable. It's a or hamakif harachok. It's a distant makif that not even like an edge of it can come into the panimi. Which means it's not even in His essence, it's not shining, right? Which we say it's like pre-shine. Ushmo ka'ala gilovis pashtu sa'or. So it's Him and His name. What's His name? His name refers to a revelation and expression of the light. The name is at least some kind of a indication of some level of what's inside. Right? A person has a name so that someone else can call them by name, so they can be known by this name. It shines out in some way and refers back to the essence. Shemos v'shem. So okay, now you have Hu and Shmo. But in the thing of name itself is broken into two levels. It's called names and name. So the direction of light which is coming down and shining, which is going to be the makif ha-karov, the close makif, it's really brought. It can be divided into two levels: names and name. Shemos lashon rabim v'shem lashon yachid. So one is plural and one is singular. Shemos lashon rabim hema eser sfiros hagenuzas b'matzila. So what is this? Names, plural. That refers to the 10 hidden spheros that are inside of that light. Right. So in general, we already talked about this many times. When the light shines out, so now it's in a state of revelation. In that revelation, there's two types of light. There's the infinite light, which has infinite spheros and infinite types of spheros. And there's this idea that Hashem sort of makes a circle around 10 of them, and those are going to be the 10 spheros that are eventually going to wind up being the 10 spheros that are able to be perceived in Atzilus and below. So before He actually brings those 10 spheros out They're called the 10 hidden spheros. And that's why they're called names, because there's 10 of them.
What about the name for the other way? The other worlds that before, other than the 10 that go this way.
That's also called name, but it's name. We'll see why in a second. This, the idea of these 10 spheros that are hidden, is that he measured within himself, within this light, b'koach, at least in potential, kol ma sha'asid lios b'poel, everything that's going to eventually come out and be the 10 spheros. So as I said, they're called the hidden spheros, because they're not actually there yet. They're just like he measures, he's like picks 10 out of an infinite ocean of spheros, and those are called the 10 hidden spheros. Those are called names. And then there's shame, lashon yachid, right? V'huma de'ein mispar the spheros. So this is your answer, De'el. Why is it called singular when there's no? Because really there's no number to those spheros there, right? So you might want to think, I'll call them names, plural, because there's many of them. But it's actually, if you recall from the previous class, it works the other way. What are they really an expression of? Is Hashem's absolute unity, singularity, non-compounded singularity. So therefore what comes out of them is infinite number of names, right? But the truth is you call it name because they're an expression of Hashem's singularity. So therefore the response to that is an infinite number of things, an infinite type of things. But you call it name because it's not so much the plurality that they're there to express, it's the singularity that they're there to express. You follow?
If that was here, then it would be perfect world.
Yeah, right. In other words, we get lost in the fact that there's many things.
Yeah.
But there are so many things that it comes clear that they're actually coming to express the singularity of the one thing, of God. Anyway, so you have names and names. So this is all in the light which is coming out. Beis bechinus elu, hem gilu ba'atzmuso. Both of these two levels, Shem and Shemos, they are in the state of revelation in Hashem's essence, Yisbarech. Ubali de gilu gam ba'olamos, bechinus or pnimi, ubechinus or makif. And these two things will eventually come to a state of revelation to the worlds in two ways. The Shemos, which is the 10 spheros, they will come to a state of revelation mamish to the world, that we will internalize them and be able to eat them, like we said, like food. And even the infinite spheros, they will also come to a state of revelation in the world, at least at the level of or makif. In other words, which means that, so to speak, after 40 years, eventually they can be understood if you'll grow your vessel, like clothing. Like I said in the previous classes. Shezeu ashoresh de beis medregos memali kolomim v'sovi kolomim. And this is what these two levels, Shem and Shemos, the infinite light and the hidden 10 spheros, this is the source of what we call in all the places the light that fills the worlds and the light that surrounds the worlds, Mamali and Sobe. Right? These two levels of light which are in a state of expression, they are called the source of Mamali and Sobe. Obviously the 10 spheres, Haganuzos, the hidden 10 spheres, they will eventually fill the worlds and become internalized and grasped. And the infinite light is going to be the source of all light which cannot be grasped by any particular world. So any world that you're in, it has both levels of Mamali and Soviet, right? You have what the vessels in that world can grasp, and you have levels of divinity that is beyond their grasp. And every world has these two levels. So the source of these two things, in their primary source, is this light which is shining out of the Ein Sof. One is sort of tucked away 10 potential spheros, and one is an infinite thing which is beyond grasp. So those are the source of Soviv and Mamali in every world. Aval hu, but that's already, right? We said hu u'shmo. So that's all in the realm of Shmo, his name. But hu, what's hu? Kyle etzema or. This refers to the essence of the light, she'enu begeter gilu v'amshacha klal ba'olamos, which we said is like the or makif harachok, the distant makif, which is not even in the realm of revelation or hamshacha, of being drawn out to the worlds whatsoever. Adarab, on the contrary, shu misalem umiskalel batzmuso, it is hidden and included inside of Hashem's essence in a way that it does not shine. Ubachinu madregazu He anikris b'shem otzar. So finally, getting back to the point of the, like a few chapters ago, that it's this level which is called the otzar, the treasury, the what do you call it? The the storehouse. Thank you. Where we said that the king, when he will finally decide to win the world, empty out his treasury and he'll bring to light that which is totally hidden and unable to be seen. Finally, we know what we're talking about with Hashem. It's this light which is the essence of the light. That's what's called Otzar. Just like a treasure house is sealed and concealed from the eye of anyone, any beholder. The definition of the Atzmus of Hashem's essence is that it's concealed and hidden, and no thought can grasp it at all. So you understand what's going on here. It's like a major thing. What we're saying is that which is impossible, by definition of ever being seen, will sometimes, some way be seen. It can somehow, some way, with Netzach, by tapping into the essence, it can even be seen. It can go completely against its nature. And if you think about how that's possible, because anyway, we're all talking about Hu Shemo is still levels of light, right? Shemo is the light that can shine. Hu is the essence of the light, but there's something beyond it all, which is the essence mamish of Hashem, not the essence of the light, right? The essence mamish. When it comes to the essence mamish, you cannot put any boundaries on it. So even though there's this thing which is called the hidden light, which by definition has a boundary that it cannot be seen, that boundary is something that it bears. It's not a boundary that Hashem bears. Hashem cannot be bound. So the fact that something is implicitly unseeable, okay, bring the essence, and he'll show you that I can break all boundaries. And so that which cannot be grasped by the mind, that which cannot be seen, somehow can be seen. Right? And it just doesn't have to make sense, because Hashem's essence can do it. That's what we were saying regarding Shlomo HaMelech before. How is it possible that a human being in his mind can grasp this infinite hidden wisdom of Hashem which cannot be seen? And I gave the analogy of a Sefer Torah. Same thing. How can you put an infinite amount of information in a finite book? You can't, unless that book bears the essence of Hashem. And this is what it means, is the essence of Hashem that no eye has ever seen. And again, as we said, the only way to open up that treasure house, that impossible light, is in order to win the war and to overcome the enemy, the opponent. So this power of Hiskafia and our avoda, you can see how mamish unbelievably precious it is. It opens up the treasure house of Hashem and reveals the unrevealable. The canal b'mashal debishvil nitzuach hamilchama poschim es ha'otzros hachasumim v'akmusim midor dor. And as we said in the mashal before, in order to win the war, you open up the treasure house which was sealed and concealed from generation to generation. Asher adug mizeh yuvan lamayla. That what does this represent above? The kasiv motzei ruach motzrosav shehika b'chora mitzrayim. What do we see? There's a pasuk which clearly says this. He brings out a ruach from his otzar. Right. So this, where did this ruach come, which destroyed the Egyptians? Right. The ruach that split the sea. It came from his otzar. What does it mean, splitting the sea? Last week's parsha. It means revealing the concealed. Right? The idea that dry land can appear amidst the water is like the physical model of the notion of the hidden worlds being revealed. The hidden worlds being the sea, so suddenly being dry land, being visible. And that's called bring a ruach, where he did it with ruach kadim, this wind. Here he shows you, where did the ruach come from? Otzor sav, it came from his otzar. His treasure house. And by the way, the ruach here refers to tzfas. I saw elsewhere Beferush. Well, the ruach is the city of air, right? Mm-hmm. And it says that this ruach, that's what, yeah, it's mamash. This is it. We're in like this hidden place. All the Kabbalah, right, the hiddenness of the Torah, it got revealed here. So that's the same idea. Revealing Kabbalah is like splitting the sea, because it's something which was essentially not able to be revealed. It's the secrets. and they never were revealed. So the fact that they came revealed is an impossibility.
When the river split in the mud, there was a tree grew. It said a tree grew with fruits. That was the same day at Tu B'Shvat last week.
Wait, really? How could it have been?
I know, but last week we read it.
Oh, we read that on Tu
Yeah,
B'Shvat. I
right.
got you. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. So he says, yeah, Motzi Ruach Motzrosav. When does that Ruach come out of his Otsar? Shehika B'chorei Mitzrayim. When you need to smash and win the war against the enemy. Right? So you see that the Otsar only opens up when it comes to war. When Hashem has to destroy the opposition. Not only Mitzrayim, but the B'chorim of Mitzrayim. B'chorei Mitzrayim. Right? The B'choros. Which is the sort of first strength and the most intensity of the Mitzrayim, which represents the constraints. So to oppose that, and dafka to oppose that, comes out the Otsar. In order to hit and strike the firstborn of Egypt, Mitzrayim hem mitzarim v'gvulim. What is Mitzrayim? Limitations. B'chorei Mitzrayim, what is the firstborn of these limitations? That's the tokef of the otzim of the klippa. It's the very intensity and strength of these klippas. Ubishvil zeh motzi ruach ma'otzrosav. Therefore, he's going to bring out this wind from his otzar. The isa b'tikun zohar tikun samech tes ruach dalid da avir kadma. So it says, what is this fourth wind? It's called the higher wind. Avir kadma. Yeah, so Pashit, this literally refers to. It's like it says that there's two levels in Kabbalah. There's a machloikis of sorts, whether or not fire is higher than air or air is higher than fire.
That's why.
You have Yud K Vav K, and sometimes you can see that it's air, fire, water, earth. And sometimes you can see that it's fire, air, water, earth. So I saw a mimer from the Rebbe where he explains that in the Seder Ishtalshalus, in other words, when things already come out of their essential place and they're sort of expressed, fire is higher than air. Because fire goes up and air sort of just goes from side to side. It doesn't have the same, koach as fire does. But in the source of things, which means as things are in their otzar, right? Like the true source, the unseen source, air is what powers fire. You can't have fire without air. It's the life force of fire. And so this is what it means that there's the avir kadma. So he says this fourth wind is like it's the wind which is beyond the Seder Ishtalshlus. Dehine kesiv ki ga'oi ga'a. It says in the splitting of the sea, right? When they sang the song of the sea. So this is when the Spirit came out. It says, Go'i ga'ah, that he was raised up above all raised up things. Go'i means like raised up. And the Targum is Go'i al-gavasani, right? That he's raised up over his gaiva. In other words, gaiva means like sort of higher. Could mean arrogant, but obviously it's in a positive sense here. He's talking about Hashem. And he's higher above all arrogance. You do it the go'oi ga'ah hu panimius ha-keser. So if you have what's higher than all things is already keser. Go'oi, one level of go'oi is keser. Go'oi ga'ah is the second level of keser, the higher level of keser, the panimius of keser. The shorsh b'chinas panimius va'atzmus ein sof v'ga'avasa dilei. And the source of that is talking about Hashem's innermost essence. So when it says that they crossed the sea, and you're seeing this power of Hashem's Ruach, it says Go'oi Ga'ah, it's referring to Panimius of Keser, which is essentially, Atik, Panimius, however high you want to go. The Go'oi Ga'ah just means it's as high as it gets. So in the Song of the Sea, they were, so to speak, delineating that highest level of Kabbalistic levels of divinity. That's what's at play here. The essence of Hashem. Yeah.
Doesn't it, this is sort of in the Midrash, that everybody, that even someone who's, even like the common folks that Yitzhak Mitzrayim, that they saw, that the revelation that they had was higher than Yecheskel
Yeah.
for the Merkava.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so
That is true. Yeah.
So in terms of Merkava, what's that? That's referring to
Merkava Z or Panimi. right? It's the Atzilus, below Atzilus, Bria. Usually it says it's either Bria or Yetzira. Yeshaya and Yecheskel, they both saw different levels. But is Bria or Yetzira. So this is way, way beyond that.
Right.
Yeah, good call. So then it says, Sus v'rochvo Rama vayam. Right? Then it says, the horse and its rider, Rama vayam, were thrown into the sea. But Rama also can also mean to be lifted up. So one way you could read this is Sus v'rochvo. What is the Sus v'rochvo? Right? The Sus is like the Or Panimi. The Rochvo is the rider on the Surus, which is Or Makif. And all that was elevated up into the sea. In other words, that there was a total mixing together of what's normally considered expressed and what's normally considered unexpressed. The Sus v'Rochvo, the horse and the rider. The horse and the rider represents the Or Panimi. The rider on the horse is the Or Makif. That's like Shemos and Shem. And all that was Rama Vayam. It was all put into the sea, which is like this like unseen level. And it was all mixed together because everything was brought to an equivalency. Anyway, he doesn't explain that here. I'm just kind of bringing that from what I remember from somewhere else. The Shorash HaNetzach Hu Panimius HaKeser. We started 45 minutes ago. Just keeping you informed there. A little trip over there. Okay. So he says the source of Netzach is this level of Panimius HaKeser. So what was happening there? We were winning. Right? Hashem was showing his Ish Milchama. That's what it says. He was a man of war. So therefore he drew down this level of Panimius HaKeser. B'mashal, as we said earlier, b'mashal the midas hanetzach natua umushrash be'etzem hanefesh. That this, we said that the netzach is rooted in the very essence of a person, to the point that he'll give all of his possessions and even his life away in order to win something. Which comes from way higher than any of his normal revealed powers that he would use in his everyday life. So this is what happened. We saw it all clearly. Okay, going on Yud Ches. Va'inyan hu. Tehine kasi v'gam netzach Yisrael lo yishaker v'lo yinachem. It says in the pasuk that the Netzach Yisrael, right, the God of Israel, is called the eternal one of Israel, or the dominant one of Israel. Netzach Yisrael. Lo yishaker, he does not lie, and he does not change his mind. Lo yishaker v'lo yinachem. Ki lo adam hu linachem. Because he's not a person to change his that he would change his mind. A person changes their mind. God is not a person that he would change his mind. So what does that all mean? The nichumin, the whole idea of changing your mind, shayach rach betzir adam. So what it means, he's not a person, not Adam, who would change his mind. Obviously Hashem is not a man, so what is it really trying to tell us Kabbalistically? That the whole idea of change in general, only is relevant what's called the tzior, the indication of of Adam, the level called Adam. What is Adam? Adam is the te'inyan of 10 spheros. It could be the 10 spheros of Yitzir, it could be the 10 spheros of Atzilus, it could be the 10 spheros of Bria, of what do we call it before? The hidden 10 spheres, the Esra spheres of Genuzos. Whatever you're going to talk about as a grouping of 10 spheros in any place they are, Adam Kadmon, it's all called Adam. And of course there's something higher than Adam. And so we think in Adam, it's relevant the notion of change or changing your mind. But above Adam, he's not an Adam that he's going to change. There's levels of divinity which are above what comes into a spheros of 10, a set of 10 spheros, and that's called not Adam. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so Adam, what is Adam primarily made out of? Grouping of two, Mochin and Midos. It's mind and heart. The 3 spheres of Chabad, the 7 spheres of the emotions. Every level, every world that has 10 spheres, it's basically broken into those 2. And what does that mean? Emotions that are governed by intellect, because those emotions that are there, those 7 emotions, they're emotions that are governed by the intellect. Right, you follow that? Because they're below the intellect, and the intellect governs them. And it's also an intellect but the intellect is relevant to the emotions. So there's emotions there that are relevant to being governed by intellect, and there's a level of intellect which is only that level of intellect which is relevant to governing emotions.
Good example.
In other words, there's the notion of intellect, I guess you could say, which is I guess intellect in general. You could think of an intellect which is completely beyond anything to do with the worlds. It's not there to govern or create the worlds, right? Think about, for example, like you have like pure mathematics versus like an engineering degree, right? When you're doing pure mathematics, you're not utilizing your intellect for the sake of governing something, to see how it runs and it applies. It's not applied mathematics; it's pure mathematics, right? So that's what he's saying, is that when you have this grouping of 10, you have so to speak, the world, which is the 7 midos, made out of 7 days, right? Which are being governed by some kind of intelligence which is behind them, which is the mind. And you have a mind, but what level of mind? A mind which is there to govern the world, a sort of limited aspect of mind, if you will. You see that? So if that's Adam, in Davka, in that level is where it's relevant, the union of change. Now let's look into it. Let's look into the emotional realm. You can change your emotions once in a while from kindness to severity and from severity to kindness. How would that happen to a person? That at first, when your mind tells you to love this person, are you ohevoso? Then it turns on your attribute of love, and you love him. Then something happens, and your intellect tells you, wait, this is not a person I should love. This is a person I should hate. So what happens in your emotions? They're redirected. And instead of loving, it transforms your love and closeness to distance. And the opposite also can happen. Obviously, this kind of thing happens all the time. Even, unfortunately, friends that you could have for a long period of time, they could betray you, right? God forbid, God forbid. And all of a sudden, you realize that there's someone other than you thought you were. So before, your intellect was telling you how great they are, therefore your emotion was popping up, love and closeness. All of a sudden, your intellect tells you this is like a burning fire. Stay away from this person, and your love disappears, and your hatred and your distancing attribute of gevura is activated. So you see that love and fear are totally relevant to change. They're subject to change. They're not eternal things. The shinu amidos hu ba al pi seichel, and what changes them? There's a governor which changes them. And that is the intellect, right? They're not going to just change by themselves. Unless they're like the switch goes the other way with the mind, they'll stay where they are. So you see that they're subject to a governance and to a change, and that's the intellect. Shemachayev hashinoy haba, right? It obligates the change that's coming. Kamo kein yuvan b'midos l'mayla. So it is with Hashem's midos, right? There's an aspect of Hashem, so to speak, which can change seemingly. The kasivis atsev al libo. Hashem emche. Right? It says Hashem got, so to speak, depressed in his heart, and he said, I'm gonna destroy the world that I made. This was like talking about the generation of Adam and the wickedness before the flood. So it said Hashem first gave them kindness and created them as feeding them, and then he changed his mind, and he said, I'm gonna destroy all them. He went from, what's that? The generation of Noah, but also everybody, right? Everybody died. Right? What'd you say?
Ruch dynamics.
Ruch dynamics. Yeah. So he changed his mind. He said, now I'm going to destroy. Now I'm going to erase them. V'umidas adin. He went from chesed to din. V'achar kach nishtan el rachamim. And then he went back again. What did he do after that? He went to rachamim. Kamosha Kasu, where do we see that in the Torah? He says, Lo osiv l'kalelot. I'm not going to curse mankind anymore. Lo osiv od lahakos. I'm not going to strike them down anymore. So now he went from justice to mercy. Im keinai shinim bidin lechesed. He went back now from din to chesed. Uba al yidei hatam. And why did he change? Because there was a reason behind everything. The reason kicked in. Shetechila hayatam machayev v'achar kach tam hamezakeh. First he had a reason that he should keep them, that he should destroy them, right? And then he found a reason that he should keep them alive. So we see that Hashem, so to speak, chesed was prevalent, and then it could change to Gevurah. So this is not the aspect of Hashem which is the unchanging Hashem, right? In this dimension, we're not dealing with, so to speak, the eternal God, the true nature of divinity, where He is unchanging and eternal. Because obviously He sort of changes His mind, right? He changes His conduct. Because that's called Adam. It's not called above Adam. That's the level of Adam. God, so to speak, as He's enclosed into the 10 spheros, called Adam. So that's called emotions. You can quite clearly see how emotions can change. But Kain b'seichel, but intellect is also in the Adam dimension. So therefore intellect can also change. Right? Seichel shayach bo nichum, and it's relevant for a change to conceive. Where do we see that Hashem's mind changed? Kol yetzer machshavos libo rak ra. Hashem said the whole inclination of the thoughts of man's heart are only evil the whole day long. Like this guy just sits around planning and scheming how to be a bad guy all day long. Ve'im kein seichel v'svara zu chai v'lios b'midos midas adin. And what did that make him do in his characteristics? That was his mind, right? That was his thought process, his reason. And then what did that reason create? It obligated the midah of din to come out, as we said a moment ago. It ushered forth his gevurah. But look at this. Achar kach nishtana hatam. All of a sudden that reason, which was a reason which obligated destruction, the reason changed. When he's now dealing with Noach, and he's about to make a covenant to keep the world alive and never destroy it again, what's the reason he gives? Because man's heart is evil from his birth. Therefore I will never destroy the world again. That is a mamash apella, is it not? It's a wondrous thing. The same reason that decided that he should destroy the world, he used the same exact reason for a reason underlying his existence, is maintaining the existence of the world. Chayva midas harachmi. That's what obligated him to have a midah of rachim and mercy to come out. So what happened here? The reason changed. In other words, it's the same reason, but the whole meaning of it changed. It became something which was supposed to create chesed or gevurah, and it turned into something which created din. Which means that there's a concept of the mind changing also from its track, one to the other. Now what causes that? Right? Because if we see that emotions change because of the reason behind them, why would a reason change from being a reason for one thing to suddenly being the same thing, being a reason for something else?
Circumstances?
Not circumstances, but the will. What changes the mind and is the will, right? Which is a very strange, peculiar thing. That the ratzon, harigam bo yesh midos, vem midos sheberatzon, v'tam kamus. Even in the will, there's also something called the midos of the will, right? Which is basically, they're called the hidden reason. So in other words, if a person, it's hard to describe, but there's some implicit desire that you have, right? Let's say to connect yourself with something, then you will actually create reasons that thing is good. Whereas if you have a desire for the opposite thing, you'll use the same reason. In other words, let's just use the analogy that's on the table, right? If Hashem desires that man should exist, so now he has to have a reason why man should exist. And what's the reason? Because he's evil from his birth. And therefore, I'm not ever going to punish him because it's not his fault. So the reason that he's evil from his birth winds up being an intellectual support for his will that they should exist. Whereas if his will is that they should not exist, the same reason will come out but it will support this other will. I don't want man to exist, and therefore I need to attach a reason to express my will because they're evil from their birth. Same exact reason, but because he now he doesn't wish them to exist, then the mind changes. It's so unbelievable. The mind, like, you think you can rely on reasons, right? That something is reasonable, and therefore it would automatically come to a certain outcome. But you see that that's not the case at all. A reason can be used in the hand of one person, and the same exact reason can be used in the hand of the other person to meet different ends. It's really because this is not, and this is going back to Shlomo HaMelech, right? This is the beginning of the class. We talked about where was Shlomo's flaw. Because you think if you're the wisest man in the world, that alone will connect you to Hashem. But it's not, because the reason can totally mislead you. Just because you have a reason for something doesn't mean that you'll always follow the good road. That same reason can be a reason that I'll do the opposite of Hashem's will. Right? I am so wise, so therefore I will be guarding myself on all the precepts of Hashem. I'm so wise that I don't need to guard myself from the precepts of Hashem. It's the same reason. I'm so wise. And yet we can see that it's fallible, right? Because depending on the will of the person, his reason can lead him in one direction or another. This itself, that you could change from one reason to another with the same exact statement. He's evil from his birth, with one svar, with one rational concept. That's only possible because of the will that's governing it. Again, so it's governed. And so what happened? Once Hashem smelled Noach's sacrifice, where we know that the idea of a sacrifice, the raza de korbana ola ad raza de ein sof, that the secret of a sacrifice goes all the way up, it touches Hashem's very essence. Az nimshach b'chinas ratzon chadash, it drew out a new will. So in other words, you go up to the essence. Even will is relevant to change, right? He had one will. What made him suddenly have another will? Because he smelled the sacrifice. And once he smelled the sacrifice, he's like, I do want them. And once he wanted the mankind, then he had to find a reason to want mankind. I have a reason, I'll use the reason I used before, because they're totally interchangeable depending on my will. Once I have a reason, I'll have a midah. I'll be kind to them. So the whole Seder Ishtalshlus really follows from whatever the will is, and the will is also changeable from whatever will decides to pop out of the essence. So all these things that are relative to Adam, right, they're all basically malleable. They can all go here, they can all go there, based on some essential place which can drive the system any old which way it wants to.
Is that will the atik of Keter and going?
There's something above. We're talking about something above will now, though, right? Because the will itself can change. At first, he had a will for them to be destroyed. Then he came up with a reason for them to be destroyed. Then he destroyed them. But then all of a sudden, where did this other will come from? He willed that they should exist. Then he came up with the same reason and used it for their existence. And then he fulfilled the kindness to them. So obviously the will is also subject to change. Because it's also in a certain sense part of Adam. But he's saying there's something which produces the will. And that, yes, it comes from this carbon, it goes to the Ein Sof. Im kein shayach bo nichumin v'charata. Therefore, even in the will, I skipped a line now. All the rest of it. I think, therefore, it's relevant will as well, because it's also part of man to be changed and to regret. Amnam kol zehu b'tzir Adam. But all of this concept of Hashem can change and go this way and that way and manipulate, it's all in the realm of Hashem called the depiction of man. Midos and mochin. Intellect and emotions. And this that we said will, if you recall, it's because we said inside of will there's also the hidden reason inside the will. Right? There's what we call the tam kamus. There's emotions of the will. The will is just for some reason has some kind of an implicit leaning towards right or left. So that's also part of the tzir of Adam. V'gam hamakif demochin v'chinas ratzon, and even what's called above the mochin, right, which is ratzon, as we just mentioned, It also has, you guys have this page?
No.
Okay, we'll just finish up real quick here. It also has, in other words, so there's heart, there's mind, and then there's what's above the mind, which is the will. It's still connected to the mind because it's makif to the mind. So all that is a realm of change. Aval b'panimiyas keser, but regarding the inner dimension of keser, not the makif which is above the mind and relevant to the mind, but the makif which is way beyond the mind. It's panimiyas of keser. Aleh itamar, regarding that it says le smala b'hayatika. There is no left side in that level of atik. Atik doesn't have poles and duality, and therefore change. It's not in the realm of man. The ein sham b'chinas midos. What is midos? First of all, measures, but also means right and left. It doesn't have right and left. Velo tam kamus. It doesn't even have a hidden innermost right and left that you can't understand. Tam kamus is like the will, for unknown reasons to us. The will just sort of lean this way or lean that way. So we see in will there's still right and left, but it's a very high level of hidden right and left. But the atik, it doesn't even have a hidden right and left. It's a singularity. Adam. That's what it means. Lo Adam lehinachem. He's not a man to change his mind. The level which is called beyond man. V'zeu ki lo Adam hu lehinachem. The bechinas ki lo Adam, at that level, he's not an Adam. Hanu mashallah ma'ilem etzir Adam, that which is beyond the whole depiction of spheros right and left. Eino shayach inyan anichumin v'hacharat. It's not relevant anymore, the notion of change and regret. Okay, so we finished 2 osios today, Baruch Hashem, and we have 2 more to go, and we're done.
Wow.
Shkoyach.
Thank you, Rabbi.
All right.
We can keep these? I just take 2 just in case. We're done with this one, right?